Good day, doodlers. Welcome to Draw Cartoons. I hope you're dealing with this heat okay. It's getting pretty hot out there. Speaking of hot, Animal Crossing is still hot. It's still all the rage. And you guys still want me to draw the characters. Don't worry, Super God, if you guys want me to show off AC characters at different angles, we'll get to that. But first, I saw Raymond in this chill pose and let's face it, Raymond is easily one of the most popular new villagers in New Horizons. It's like everybody loves Raymond up in here, so we're gonna draw him. No, not that Raymond, don't worry, the actual Animal Crossing one. Don't skip around the video, you're gonna want to watch it all because it's just gonna be so helpful. Hit that like button if you're still keeping up with your critter-filled island, and subscribe to the channel to keep up with my easy peasy tutorials. Let's go. So as far as Animal Crossing characters go, Raymond isn't really, not particularly difficult. I mean, generally Animal Crossing characters are not very hard to draw. They have pretty nice, easy proportions to get right. Lots of very simple shapes that make up the overall character. So for this one, let me just lower the preview a little bit more. There we go, just so you can see what I'm doing a bit better. We're going to start with I was going to say a circle. It's not really a circle. It's more like a potato. Imagine the little kind of spots that you get in a potato. It's an oval, and it's a little bit tilted on its side like this. So you want to draw the line of symmetry right down the middle, down here. Okay, so try and get this bit right. If you can get this bit right at the start, the rest of it's going to be pretty easy to set up. So try and get that right, and then underneath this circle, or this oval, or this potato, whatever you want to call it, we're going to draw, I guess, what looks like the bottom half of a teardrop, like a cartoony, imagine a cartoony teardrop like this. But we're not seeing this point is kind of hidden within the oval on top. So you want to try and get that right for the torso. Let me just even it out a slight bit there. There we go. So try and get this shape right. And then for the legs, I'm just going to draw a couple of lines down to help me position them. Very, very short, stumpy legs. Animal Crossing characters have extremely simple limbs, which is why they're so easy to draw and also just pretty fun, to be honest, because you can really worry more about the actual facial features and less so about the details on these limbs. Now we'll work a bit more on this silhouette before we do any of the details within the character. So what I mean by the silhouette is what the character looks like if you were to just completely turn them into a shadow, so you can only see the details on the outside and you can't see any of the details inside. So these ears would definitely show up. These ears are huge. Try and picture them like really, really big, kind of almost ridiculously sized ears. I'm sure Raymond has an extremely good sense of hearing with ears quite this big. I don't know if they're the biggest ears in Animal Crossing, but maybe they're not too far off. And then just a couple of smaller triangle shapes inside to show his inner ear, and that's about it. And now we'll move on to drawing the face. We'll get the face completely done, and then we'll add all the other features for those of you who are quite satisfied to just draw the face and nothing else. So I'm going to cut it across the middle again. So try and get it so that you have these very 4 equal quadrants of this oval, like this. Now let's position the nose. I do like to start with the nose quite often because the nose is pretty much smack bang in the middle of all the facial features, and it's probably a good idea to draw a little mouth here. Probably. We definitely want to give him a mouth. There we go. So it's almost like a little arrow that's pointing upwards. Try and give it a little bit of a thickness, and if you want, you can shade in his nose at this point, but it's not going to matter until you actually go ahead and go over this with a pen, because we are just working lightly with a pencil at the moment. So I like to place the eyes and then draw the glasses over the eyes rather than the other way around. So the eyes in this case are kind of like semicircles that sit along that midline. Like this. Just kind of draw a dome on this side, and obviously you're going to need another one over here on this side. Okay, and with the eyes in place, it's then a lot easier to draw the glasses on top of this, which we'll do now. So the top frame of these glasses kind of sits along the top of the eye, so you can just draw a little shape in here and a little bit here, just kind of sitting on top. There's a small bump outwards, very, very tiny bump, don't overdo that, on the top frame before it starts to kind of swing way under the eye, and then it angles up over the nose like this through your midpoint, either side of the nose like that, and way over it, then flattens out again as it comes over here. Now I'll just point something out before you finish yours. This side of the glasses, this outer side of these rims, is way more angled like downwards, like this. It's way more straight than the inner frame. The inner frame has a bit of a curve to it as it goes over the nose. So the glasses are not done. We have to draw the inside of the frames, if that makes sense. So we can actually start with the upper part because it pretty much just sits on top of the eye like that. But the rest of it is relatively slim. It just kind of, the top frame is really thick, but the bottom part of the frame, the side part of the frame, really thin in comparison, like really thin. So you want to just kind of trace the shape that you've already drawn as you come up towards the eye and close off there. So again, you want to keep pretty close to the line that you drew earlier for the bottom frame and the side of the frame. Keep it nice and close and bring it up to the head. You see how much thicker the top frame is compared to the bottom frame? Like, this is really thick. This is really, really thick in comparison, and these are quite thin. So his pupils can just kind of sit here, little semicircles right at the very, very tops of the semicircles that we drew only a moment ago. And try and get those relatively simple, relatively central, rather. And now for his hair, it's a very characteristic trademark hairstyle. Not a lot of Animal Crossing characters have hair like this. He's got kind of like a... I was going to say a quiff, but it's not really a quiff, it's more like a... Let's call it a swoosh. A little swoosh of hair that just kind of goes to the side like this. Always flick to the side. Very well-groomed cat, I guess. So now for his outfit. So we can do a little triangle here for where his neck is going to sit. And then we can start from that and just kind of build downwards by adding more and more shapes that overlap each other. So first of all, we need to add what's basically a couple of triangles here, either side of the shape that we just drew. And that's the collar for his shirt. Because he's very smartly dressed, he's wearing a shirt underneath a waistcoat. So then underneath these, we can draw a V shape that goes down the middle of his body. And inside this, a tie. And you can see how easy a tie is to draw. You just draw these three lines here, like that, at an angle to each other. And then two that go down behind the waistcoat. Now to finish off the waistcoat, we continue this line here. And we do this sort of shape here. We go a bit to the side, then down. And then across like this. And then you do 1, 2, 3 buttons. So the waistcoat is actually buttoned in the middle of his body. And then from where those buttons are, you can draw the other bottom part of the waistcoat as another little kind of pointy bit. See, these are pointy. Don't round those out too much. Those are definitely needing to be pointy. And then a pocket either side, just like that. Okay, so that's his torso actually done at this point. I don't know if you want to bring the torso down a tiny bit like this. I'm actually going to do that in mine, but it doesn't make a huge difference. There is a little bit of torso showing underneath the waistcoat, so make sure you have this little blobby bit here. And now for the legs. Right now he's just got a couple of sticks for legs, which it's not going to do. Raymond definitely wants some actual stock on those legs, so we'll draw lines either side, and then a small bump at the bottom for a foot, because Animal Crossing characters, as I said earlier, very, very simple limbs. Now, in the pose I've chosen for this, he's ever so slightly leaning to one side. So that's why I've drawn, if I just fix that a tiny bit, there we go. I've drawn this leg with a very, very slight curve like that. It's not straight, it's got a really slight curve like this on both sides of it. So what that means is that leg's quite relaxed, and all the weight is on this leg. This leg is curving the same way as the other leg. It's curving with this kind of leftward push. And because of the way his body's tilted, we can see a lot of the weight is on this leg. So a lot of the weight's been taken off this leg, and there's a much more weight on this leg. You can exaggerate that if you want by actually raising this toe a little bit like that. A bit higher than the heel. Because then it just looks like that leg's kind of resting, and this one has got all his weight on it. So you can just finish this off by drawing a couple of lines in for the shoes. And now for his arms, we'll start with this arm because it's dead easy. This arm is behind him, so we can follow the shape that we drew earlier, just round it out a bit, make it look a bit softer. And there's a fold here for where his arm is bending to go behind him. Now this arm is a little bit more work, but again it's super easy because Animal Crossing characters be Animal Crossing characters, and we can draw a little nub for a hand that comes up towards his face and then comes down and just connects with his body there. You want to do a little bit of a fold here because that's where the arm is indeed folding, and you want to add a cuff for his shirt And that's his hand sticking out. Very, very simple hand. And we're missing one detail. And being a cat, he's got to have a tail. So we'll add a little tail over here. It's only small. It's not very thick, not very thin. It's just as you would imagine a cat tail. And if you're going to colour it, that's pure black, just like his hands and his ears. So speaking of finishing off drawings, I'm going to go ahead and do that just now. You should go ahead and do the same unless you're satisfied just having a sketch like this. But yeah, I'm going to go get this all polished off, so I'll see you in just a sec. What a cool cat. Cool as a cucumber. Wait, cucumbers? Cats don't get on too well with cucumbers, do they? Better keep that one away from Raymond so he doesn't lose his chill. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you leave me a comment letting me know what you'd like me to draw next, and subscribe to the channel if you didn't already. Until next time.